I guess you love movies. I do too. Hi guys, and welcome back to another movie review. And today we're going to be talking about a horror movie. I've also already talked about A Quiet Place this year, another sort of horror thriller movie that I really enjoyed. Check that review out if you haven't seen it already. Hasn't got many views, one of my best videos in my personal opinion. But I do like horror movies. Over the last few years I have definitely enjoyed several. The Babadook and It Follows being just a couple. I also liked the first Conjuring. I did enjoy the second one, even though it wasn't quite as good as the first. Going into this movie, Hereditary, obviously is getting a lot of big reviews right now. A lot of people are really enjoying this movie, and this is my review of it. I was looking forward to it. I'd heard really good things. I hadn't watched any trailers or anything about the movie. I knew very small details, but other than that, I didn't know anything about it going in. And I had quite big expectations going into the film, and I'm going to get into a few positives and negatives about the film and eventually come to a conclusion on what my thoughts are. So, getting into the positives firstly. Actually, I'll just talk about the synopsis quickly. So, this is about a family. They live kind of isolated, and the mother of the main character, played by Toni, Collette, dies, and it's her funeral, the day of her funeral, where the movie starts. She has two kids, one who has a severe nut allergy and has kind of got this creepy thing that she does where she constantly clicks her tongue, which is very odd, and her other son, who's like a lot older, sort of a teenager, sort of late teens, and her husband as well, and they go to this service, and you sort of slowly, there's a sense of unease about the film. It's about her grief, but also about her relationship with her mother, and that sort of odd relationship that they had, and how sort of the odd sort of sides of their relationship, how she could be so nice sometimes and so protective and sort of angry and aggressive at others. It's kind of about how she deals with her own grief, how the kids do at that, and how more tragic circumstances occur, and how as the movie goes along some really weird stuff begins to be uncovered about their grandmother and her mother and the stuff that she was involved in. So, what did I think of Hereditary? Well, I'm going to be honest, I was a bit disappointed. What I was expecting was a great film. I didn't quite get that. This movie's alright, this is okay, this is a decent enough movie, but from the reviews I was expecting something a lot better and a lot more original, and I'm going to get into a few reasons why, but I'm going to get into the positives first. So, Toni Collette, who plays the main mother of the children in this movie, is good, okay? She gives a good performance. However, she does, towards the last act of this movie, begin to get to the point of hysteria, and it goes a little far. In my personal opinion, I think she does overact. And she is good in the movie for the most part, but the acting does get to the point where it's a little bit overly hysterical, and she kind of loses me a little bit, but she does give a good performance. The whole cast give good performances. The girl in the movie, the son, and the husband, who I know, and his name escapes me, and it's very annoying, but I know him, and he's very good in the movie. The whole cast is good, to be honest. They all give good performances. I think her son is probably the best performer in this movie, and I think that their relationship is probably one of the most interesting parts of the film, and their distrust of each other. I really enjoyed that part of the movie. This is well directed, it's really well shot, and the lighting and the sound all comes together really creepily. There's some really good lighting in this movie, certain use of a certain lighting effect, a red light in a sort of attic room is very well used and well utilised throughout the movie. I definitely enjoyed that a lot, and I think this movie definitely has exceptionally disturbing imagery at certain scenes and in certain moments, and I think that it does have some suspenseful scenes as well. There's a specific scene where the son is walking around the house, it's all dark, he's trying to find his mother, and it's definitely got this sort of slow building suspense about it, and I really like that a lot. And that's something that I would say about this movie that I did enjoy, was its slow build-up, because I think that always gives you a payoff, and I'll talk about that a little later in the review. But the best horror films of recent years, in my opinion, something like The Babadook, was so good because there was just this feeling of unease about it, that you watched it and you thought, there's something wrong, I can't quite put my finger on what, And that's why I love the Babadook so much. But it's not just that, there's some things I liked about that film that I will get onto in the negatives of this movie. And that's where I'm going to go start, because what I was expecting with Hereditary, from the first 2 acts in reality, was something a little bit more different than what it gave me. The final act, however scary you may find it, or disturbing, or messed up, we've seen this before, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because it kind of is a spoiler. But where the movie goes is not new, and it's done well enough. But I was just expecting more. I was expecting something more different, more original, something that wasn't so well trodden in the horror genre, and they definitely gave me something that I was expecting, and that's my biggest problem. The ending is kind of obvious. The plot takes obvious routes. Certain characters, specifically, Toni Collette's character meets a character called Joan at one of her grief help meetings, and her position within the story, as soon as you meet her, is pretty obvious to me. Anyway, I think the movie wants it to seem like it's more of a shock than it really is, and by the end it isn't really a shock. The movie has scary moments, but there are a couple of moments that that do fall flat and don't quite hit where you'd expect them to. I would have liked this movie to have been more of a psychological thriller, more of a drama, than a horror movie by the end. I think that the way it sets up the plot in the first 2 acts, I feel like it would have been much more interesting if it was more of a psychological film. Like the Babadook is, it kind of makes you think, is this all in her head? Is this all actually real? I think if it did sort of more of a stance on mental illness and grief, I think it would have been a much more interesting movie by the end, but it doesn't do that. It goes in a more cliched route, more of a horror genre cliched route that's been well trodden at this point. And even though I enjoyed moments of this movie, it's well directed and acted by the entire cast, it has some suspenseful and scary scenes, I think that it definitely plays its hand way too early, and I think that it definitely is a lot more cliche than I wanted it to be. I didn't mind Hereditary, I thought it was decent, but overall it was definitely disappointing, and I'm going to give it overall a 7 out of 10. So there you go, there's my review of Hereditary. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, drop your comments down in the section below. What did you think of this movie if you have seen it? I'm probably got a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I just didn't really rate it as highly as the reviews are currently giving it. So there you go, that's my opinion, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.